Hey guys, bringing you another battle report. This is the table we played on today. It's another game versus Dark Elves. We rolled up the Watchtower scenario. As you can see in the center of the board there's the Watchtower, and we made up this little scenario that there was this little castle building in the center of this sort of forestry outcrop. So hence the sort of ring of trees. So, moving on to deployment, in my centre of the board we have the Demon Prince with his build there. 5 dogs in the centre, another unit of 5 dogs just off pitch to the right. The BSB on Demonic Mount, who's now actually sprayed black. As you can see the progress I'm making with my army. Speedy as always. Moving across to the left, just in front of the Watchtower, we have another unit of 5 dogs. And behind them is the 20-man warrior unit with the Mark of Zeech and shields, and then to the left of those are 2 Gorby's chariots. Off to my right hand side, which looks like I didn't get a picture of, was the Skull Crushers with another unit of dogs. So moving on to my opponent's deployment. In the centre there he has a unit of 29 Spear Elves, I think. And there's the level 4 sorceress in there. She took Lord of Shadow, and she had the Sacrificial Dagger, and I think that was all her equipment. And then behind them to the left is there's the Hydra. This is a really nice looking army. It's a Slaneshi themed Dark Elf army, so you're staying away from all the K-Knight units, I believe, the Blackguard and the Executioners and Corsairs and things like that. It's all made from sort of demonettes and fiends of Slanesh, and so the Hydra's got like Slanesh bits on it, and it's got loads of extra heads and stuff. It's a cool looking model. And then to the right of the Spear Elves is 2 units of 10 crossbowmen, a unit of 15 Witch Elves in front of them, and then in the top right there of the deployment is a level 2 Metal Sorceress on a Pegasus. That's a crazy Slaneshi worm looking thing. So, and again, another really cool conversion. She's a level 2 with metal, and she had the Tome of Fury on, I think it's called, that lets her select another spell, and she also has the Pendant of Caleth. And off to the left, on the other side of the trees on the left of this picture, is a unit of 5 Dark Riders and a unit of 5 Colon Knights with a Master BSB in. Again, I'm not sure. I obviously just forgot to take a picture of that side of the board. Okay, so moving on, just to the right, you can see there's the Witch Elves. Again, the right side of those trees is another unit of looks like 6 Dark Riders. Okay, so moving on, the Dark Elves won the roll to go first. This vanguarded up Dark Riders on this side like so, and vanguarded Dark Riders up on that side like so. And then on the rest of his movement is the level 2 on the Pegasus flew up. Witch Elves moved up behind. The crossbows push forward. The Spear Elves push forward. On this side, there's the Golden Knights that again I didn't get a picture of deployment. They push up a little bit. Hydra pushes up a little bit. Just a generic sense of pushing forward. So move on to the next picture. And then the Dark Riders move just out of the charge arc of the Gorby's chariots, which is sensible. So going on to magic, the level 2 on the Pegasus cast Final Transmutation onto my unit of warriors, and I just dispel scrolled it. I didn't want to lose a third of that unit on turn 1. And this picture here is the Dark Riders picked off a wound off the Gorby's chariot from shooting, which is quite lucky because they were, minus sort of 3 to hit from moving multiple shots and through the trees. They still managed to sneak a wound through. And that was it for Dark Elf turn 1. So moving on to Warriors of Chaos turn 1. So I move up my dogs and Skull Crushers that were on the right hand side like so. The Demon Prince flies up just out of the arc of the level 2 on the Pegasus. Not because I was worried about a charge and anything, because she's not going to kill my Demon Prince, but what I don't want is the pendant tying down the Demon Prince for the rest of the game, which would happen. And then the dogs push up just to set up on all the double fleas from the witch elves if they failed their frenzy test. And the rest of the movement, like so, the Gobi's chariots just shuffle around just to cover the left-hand side of the board there. If the Hydra comes around the building, or if the Golden Knight's getting closer, the Gobi's chariots will be able to charge there. The Warriors push up a little bit. You can see the two nil Warriors there just bumping up the unit to 20. I need to make a unit filler for that block still, so until I get around to doing that, there'll be 2 guys in there. And again, the BSB just shuffles around to give his 12-inch bubble to everybody. I love having him so mobile. It's really, really useful. Okay, so moving on. This into Dark Elf turn 2. Sorry. In the Warriors of Chaos Magic phase, I cast Doom and Darkness onto the witches irresistibly. I did the small round template of the Doom Prince's head, takes a wound, and then he ward saved it. And then the witches were -3 leadership. I didn't necessarily want that to happen because I was just throwing Doom and Darkness there to pull some dice so I could Caress of Lenith onto the level 2 on Pegasus to stop this happening. As you can see, she's flown behind my lines, and the Dark Riders have done some crazy fast cap shenanigans, and they've also gone out with the charge arc again. Again, the Hydra bumps up just a little bit. It's in a position where the Gobi's chariot can't see it round the corner of that building, and the Golden Knights just bump up to within half an inch of the charge range of the Gobi's chariots, just to attempt a frenzy check. And then this side, you can see there the Doom of Darkness has gone off. Just a generic shuffling around with the units. There's no charges to declare in this turn. So, into the Dark Elf Magic phase. The level 2 casts Searing Doom onto the Gobi's chariot. It goes off irresistibly. Luckily, I only take 2 wounds from it, and then the level 2 turns herself into a level 0, which is fantastic for me. No more metal magic to worry about. And then the Dark Riders. So moving on to the magic phase continued. The level 4 manages to cast Occam's Mind Razor. I think she got out like 3 dice. You know, she met the casting value of 3 dice. It was a really good roll. It wasn't irresistible. I tried to dispel it and failed. So the Witch Elves have now got Occam's on, and that's a ton of attacks with Occam's. I'm not going anywhere near that unit. And then in shooting, the Dark Riders managed to peel off another wound from the Gobi's chariot. Really unlucky to not get that last wound, because this Gobi's chariot becomes very significant in the next turn. And then moving on to further shooting, the repeater crossbowmen destroy the unit of dogs, and I pass all necessary panic checks. And the crossbowmen on the other side whittle down that unit of dogs to just 2 dogs left, and again pass all necessary panic checks. So moving into Warriors of Chaos turn 2, and when I said that Gobi's chart would become important, and this is why. I actually failed the frenzy test with this Gobi's chariot. I needed a 17 to make the charge, which means I need to roll an 11, and he rolls an 11 and makes the long charge into the far corner of the board. So after rolling an 11 for the frenzy test, I rolled an 11 for my charge and made it. So my opponent really wasn't expecting that to go off when he placed his unit there. And what makes it more funny is he forgot to eat his black dragon egg, which is what the BSB has. So he's not going to be toughness 6 or have his breath weapon in this round of combat. So I thought that was quite fortunate for me. And the Demon Prince makes a fairly average charge. He needed to roll, I think it was an 8 or a 9 to get into the flank of the Spear Elves. So he's gonna grind away at that unit quite handily. And in the rest of the movement, I just put 2 units of dogs in front of the Witch Elves. I just don't want them getting a charge into the Skull Crushers or my Warriors. So you can see the unit dogs on the left have set up so that the Witch Elves, if they charge there, will overrun into the building and then be either flanked or took a charge from the warriors or the BSB or both. And the unit dogs on the right are set up so that they needed to overrun and roll a 10 to make it into the Skull Crushers, and if they choose to do that, they're frenzied, so they'll either make it, which will be bad for me, or they'll just set up an easy charge for the Skull Crushers. So I'm very pleased with how that's going there. And then the dogs above, the top of the picture, just move up to put some pressure on those crossbowmen and take some shots. Basically, just to run point for the rest of the army, the more important things. And the rest of the movement, the Gobi's Chariot just that passed its frenzy test and didn't make a ridiculous charge into the top left hand corner of this picture. Just hides behind the building. Again, we're just playing peekaboo with the Hydra. And the Warriors of Chaos Max Zinch just push up to move into the Watchtower next turn. So going into the magic phase, the Demon Prince casts Doom of Darkness onto the Spear Elves. Basically, we had a conversation. You were saying that Soul Blight wouldn't be any difference onto the Spear Elves because Demon Prince is wounded on 2s anyway. Obviously, he didn't realise I was actually going to throw Soul Blight onto this unit, so he lets Soul Blight go through and dispels Doom of Darkness onto the Spear Elves, which is probably the better choice. And then he reveals his assassin from the Dark Elf Warrior block. Sorry about the picture, it's really, really poor quality there. I was kind of leaning across the table. The quality suffered, obviously. The assassin pops out. He actually managed to do 2 wounds to the Demon Prince. He had Manbane, an additional hand weapon, so he gets 4 attacks at strength 6. Puts 2 wounds on the Demon Prince, but then the Demon Prince slaps the assassin back. And then, because I killed the assassin, he goes and thunderstomps the unit, and I think I only killed 1 more Dark Elf. I ended up losing the combat by 1 or 2, but it doesn't matter because the Demon Prince is unbreakable. And then the Gobi's Chariot rolls a 7 impact hits and gets 3 killing blows onto the Cold War Knights and kills 3 just from impact hits. And then finishes off the unit with his attacks. And then runs them down and ends up all the way in this back corner, but I really didn't care. The Gobi's Chariot again making back its points, taking out 5 Cold War Knights and the Master BSB without even breaking a sweat. It's just... I'm becoming curious as to, where's the line where these Gobi's Chariots stop being, ridiculous and don't kill whatever they charge into. So again, another impressive show from the Gobi's Chariots. And then moving on to Dark Elf turn 3. So the pendant wielding crazy bitch on Pegasus charges into the flank of the Gobi's Chariot. This is basically going to become a pillow fight for the rest of the game. It was the thinking during this is he just wants to pin that Gobi's Chariot in place, and with the pendant it's got a very, very high chance of doing so. So and it's also in a position where he's in my flank, and because of the building I can't fit to reform to face, so it means he's the level 2, well the level 0 now on Pegasus is not going to be taking the beast attacks as well. A minor consolation there. And the Witch Elves decide to charge the dogs on the left. Basically, I think the thinking was to avoid getting charged by the Skull Crushers and ending up in a very, very easy charge range. Neither situation was good, but this is where they end up. And the Hydra just moves around the building to charge next turn. So obviously, again, the thinking is pin the Gobi's in place with the pendant. It also has a fairly good chance of breaking the Gobi's Chariot as well. You've got charge on a flank. I'm unlikely to do any wounds with it, so I'll be testing on a 2, but on a -2. So you're going to break the Gobi's Chariot and make it flee through the building, taking the drain test potentially, or just pin it in place and then charge it next turn with the Hydra. Was the thinking here. And then the Dark Elf, the Dark Elf Dart Riders just move up to get within short range of the Warriors. And then into the Magic phase. Now this was a fairly eventful Magic phase. The Dark Elf player cast Occam's Mind Razor onto the Spear Elves. At this point, I was kind of almost breaking into a sweat. He still does hit me on 6s, but he's now strength 9, which is very worrying. Funnily enough, he threw 10 dice at it and didn't cast it irresistibly, but I'd already used my scroll, so I had to attempt to dispel it, and I failed to dispel it. I couldn't get the double 6. I think I had like 7 dice, my opponent had 10 dice, and yeah, got the Occam's Mind Razor off onto the Spear Elves. Moving on to the shooting phase, the first unit of crossbowmen open up onto the dogs and kill 3 of them. And the second unit of crossbowmen open up onto the dogs and only kill 1 of them. This was just ridiculous. I seem to have incredible luck against shooting against Dark Elves. You notice in the last game, the Shades couldn't kill my Warhounds. And now the addition of Warhounds has just took 40 crossbow shots, and there's 1 left alive. And of course, being in range of the General and the BSB, passed the panic check. And again, sorry for the blurry picture there, guys. So moving on to more shooting, the Dark Riders peel off to the Chaos Warriors. So the Dark Riders are actually, Chaos Warriors are dying more easily than the Warhounds, which is quite funny. And in the combat phase of the Demon Prince, so the Demon Prince hit all 5 attacks, and this was his roll to wound. So even, best laid plans just come to fail, and I rolled 4 1s to wound. So at this point I was really, really sweating, because right now there's, X amount of strength 9 hits coming towards me. But the Dark Elf player fails his fear test and turns himself into weapon skill 1, not that it really mattered, and the Mark of Nurgle saves the Demon Prince, needing 6s to hit. You get 1 hit, it did wound, and then I made my 5-up ward save. Funnily enough, in this game, the Demon Prince was called upon to make a 5-up ward save 3 times or 4 times, but he made every single one, which is just really, really funny. So the Demon Prince loses combat, but again he's unbreakable. Now this is where the Demon Prince being unbreakable is just really, really broken, because when you charge in with a character and you roll 5 hits, roll 4 1s, normally that character then breaks and gets run down. The Demon Prince just doesn't care. He's unbreakable, and there's not much you can do about that. Then moving on to the next picture, the Witch Elves predictably absolutely annihilate the dogs and then overrun into the building and remain an inch away. So the way they're set up now is they're actually in the warriors are in the front arc, and if I charge them I'd only clip 2 or 3 guys, because I'd have to, obviously the building's in the way. So the Witch Elves are not in the best position, but it could be a lot worse from their point of view. And in this combat, the Gobbies Jar actually sneaks a wound past the pendant. I think I get something like 3 hits and 3 wounds. And then the Dark Elf player here just rolls a 6 and sneak a wound through. So it cancels out the flank, but he obviously has to charge. I lose by 1, and I pass my panic test, break test, whatever you want to call it. So, going on to Warriors of Chaos turn 3, the 1 remaining dog that was there charged into the repeater crossbowman on the left just to get it out of the way. They chose to stand and shoot and killed it, predictably. And then this was, I felt quite bad after doing this. The BSB on Demonic Mount charged the repeater crossbowman, and they elected to flee. I was about 9 inches away. It was a fair distance, and they elected to flee. And you can see that 1 and a 3 was the flee roll of a 4 inches, and then I rolled double 6 and just completely overrun the crossbowman. Things like that can't be avoided, but it does makes me feel bad when things like that happen. But them's the break sometimes. So moving on to further charges, I really like this picture. For some reason, this picture came out in really, really, really good quality. Skull Crushers look pretty nice in my opinion. So the Skull Crushers there complete a charge into the Witch Elves. You can see a bit of a close up the first time of those Witch Elves. You can see they're made from demonettes. Lots of spiky bits, really nice looking, really nice conversion. I'm really looking forward to seeing it fully painted up. It will look really, really nice when it's finished. So the Skull Crushers go into the flank. That is not going to go well at all for the Witch Elves. It's not a good place to be if you're a Witch Elf. And the Warriors test the Swift Reform and move into the Watchtower because I'm so close. And they fail the Swift Reform test. And because the BSBs ran so far away, they don't get the reroll. So they're just going to have to sit there for another turn. They just went 5 wide so they can fit through that gap. Then the Goldbeast Chariot up here in the top left just, he turns around after running down the Cold Knights. Not pleased about him being way over here, but I really can't complain about his performance this game. And then moving on to the Warriors of Chaos Magic phase. So again, I managed to cast Doom and Darkness onto this warrior unit. So they still have Occams up, but now they're strength 6 as opposed to 9. So it really makes this unit more manageable. Still hit me on 6s, now wounded me on 3s instead of 2s, and I do get some armor saves. And I think at this point, the 2 wounds that the assassin did have been healed up by the Soul Feeder. So again, 10 points for the Soul Feeder is just an absolutely fantastic item. It's a steal for what you get. And then again, so the Doom Prince looks like he doesn't kill that many. Kills 4, maybe 5. Still loses combat, but again he's unbreakable, so he's not going anywhere. Again, another bad picture. I really apologise for that, guys. And this fight here continues to be a pillar fight. He does no wounds to me. I do no wounds to him. And then I pass my break test once again from being within range of the general. Excuse me, guys. And predictably, the Skull Crushers completely wipe out the Witch Elves and overrun, and I have to stop an inch away from the building, similar to the way the frenzied Witch Elves had to. And moving on to Dark Elf turn 4. So the Dark Riders here decide to charge into my unit of warriors. One goes into the flank, one goes into the rear. This wasn't by any means the best case, the best thing for the... This isn't an ideal situation for the Dark Riders, but it was the best thing to do in the situation, because the best he can hope for is he has a flank, a rear, and a charge. Maybe he can sneak a couple of wounds through, maybe not. All he has to do is have one of these Dark Rider units hold, and then my warrior block can't walk into the building. So it's actually a fairly smart play from my opponent. It's not what Dark Riders want to be doing, because even Warriors of Chaos in the flank and the rear get 2 attacks each. So this is a fight they're quite handily capable of fighting their way out of. But at this point, there's not much more the Dark Riders could do. And the Hydra there in the top of the picture hasn't actually charged the Goldbeast Chariot. It's just moved up in front of it in such a way he's going to breathe through both combats. I don't actually, looking at it now, I don't think this would have been possible because there was no one to target that was outside of combat. Put a comment if that's the case, guys, but it didn't end up making too much of a difference. And it's only a friendly game anyway, so I didn't have a problem with the Hydra breathing through for these units. But looking back at it now, I don't think he would have been able to do that. And then this was the absolute moment of the game. This was a beautiful example of why I love fantasy so much. So we go to the Dark Elf Magic phase. He rolls up, I think, 9 dice or 8 dice, it doesn't really matter. Picks up all his dice, throws them all at Occam's Mind Razor, gets it off irresistibly, then rolls a calamitous detonation for his miscast, and kills the entire unit of spearmen except for the champion. So he went from having this block of strength 9 spear elves to 1 strength 9 spear elf and the sorceress herself, who takes a wound. And again, the Demon Prince passes his ward save, so he doesn't even take a wound. This is just a beautiful moment for me, and we're having a good old laugh about it. What's one funny thing about this sorceress in particular is the last time we played a game, she in one miscast killed 24 Dark Elf Spearmen. So she's on a bit of an epic killing spree at the moment with her own, Dark Elves. Just the absolute moment of this game. I don't really know what else to say. So going on to the this looks like. Oh yeah, this is shooting from the Dark Elf crossbowmen into the Skull Crushers, and they don't do anything. That's a fairly scary sight for the Dark Elf crossbowmen there. So moving on, let's say the Hydra that bro did its breath weapon through the 2 combats. Again, it's probably not possible. Put a wound onto the Gobley's chariot and killed 5 Chaos Warriors. So it made a bit of an impact, but again, I just don't think that it would have been able to do it. But again, it doesn't matter. It was all fun in good spirits. So, and then going into the combat, the Gobley's chariot, with bearing in mind it's lost its frenzy, so with 4 attacks, manages to sneak 2 wounds through the pendant-wearing Pegasus bitch and kill her to the flank. Now, this is Dark Elf turn 4, so it frees me up to charge the Hydra next to him, which is a brilliant situation and scenario for the Warriors of Chaos. And then the combat with the Dark Riders and the Warriors of Chaos. The Dark Riders that were in the flank. So all told, the Dark Riders did no wounds. That was expected. Hit on 4s, wounded on 5s, and then I have my 3-up save and my 5-up parry. They weren't likely to do any wounds to the Warriors. That was fair enough. The Warriors to the side kill 4 of the Dark Riders, and then the Warriors to the rear kill 2 Dark Riders, I think. So they're testing on fairly low. I think it was -2 after all modifiers. Oh, -3. So the Dark Riders to the flank broke and fled. The ones in the rear held, and that was exactly what my opponent needed, just to stop me from, in my turn, walking into the watchtower. So it was a bold play that kind of played off, and it buys him a little extra time to position some units to stop me getting into the watchtower. And the Warriors reform to face. So into the Warriors of Chaos turn 4. The Golbeast predictably charges into the face of the Hydra. The Skull Crushers and the Demon Prince charge into that unit of crossbowmen. They elect to stand and shoot on the Skull Crushers, and they put 1 wound on Skull Crushers, and then they just choose to hold because the Demon Prince would catch them anyway. And then the other Golbeast chariot comes into the rear, of the Hydra. So that's not a good place to be. A Hydra getting crushed from both ends from 2 Golbeast chariots. So that's a nice image I like to see as a Warriors of Chaos player. And so when all was said and done in this combat, the Hydra, actually it was the Pack Masters themselves that killed the Golbeast to the rear. I only did a single wound to the Hydra. So I had charge and a wound, and he had 1 wound. I win by 1, and he sticks around. And of course the Warriors of Tzeentch, now that they turn to face, destroyed the Dark Elf Warrior, the Dark Riders fairly simply, and then just turn reform again to face to walk into the watchtower again next to him. And predictably over here, the Demon Prince and the Skull Crushers just absolutely butcher the crossbowmen. There was absolutely nothing at all, strange about that. That was bound to happen. And so the Demon Prince reforms, and of course, because the Skull Crushers are frenzied, they overrun and end up way over there. So we rolled to see, this is the end of turn 4, so we rolled to see if the game continues, and it does, and then the Dark Elf player just conceded, because he knew that all he had left was the Hydra, and I was just about to walk into the watchtower with my warrior block, so we can just concede there. We didn't even work out victory points, it was just a straight up victory for the Warriors of Chaos. Obviously you don't need to work out victory points in this situation. So again, another fantastic win for the Warriors of Chaos, and just proving that if you can't deal with the Demon Prince, he's just going to ruin your day. You can't break him, you can't kill him, and he'll just spend the entire game wailing onto your units. And that's what he's proved in the 2 games that I've put up on, done battle reports for you guys. I'm not too sure about what I would have done differently, if anything. I don't. My all kind of went to plan. The plan was just to swamp with my killer units and get the warriors into the watchtower. I did actually have control of the watchtower, but I chose not to put my warrior block in there at the start of turn one, just because I wanted it to be a bit more of a contested game, and also it would have meant that my level 1 would have had to run around on his own. I didn't really want that. So it was just a matter of making the game slightly more fun and contestable. There would have been no point me going into the watchtower with my warrior block at the start. If it was a tournament, of course I would. I'd be like, right, well, I'm in the tower now. Come and kill me. But looking back, I mean, if I'd have gone into the tower, the witch elves would have just charged it, and I actually think that's a pretty, that's a bad matchup. The witch elves getting all their attacks. That's 31 attacks. Going before my my warriors, and all it takes is one Occam's, and my unit's dead. It's not, he kills all 10 in the round he goes in. I don't kill any back because I think witch elves are initiative 6, and then the same thing happens again next turn. He kills another 10, and then I'm down to almost no guys, and so it wouldn't have even been that much of a smart idea to go into the tower anyway. But that's enough of the post game analytics. That's the battle report. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does motivate me to do more videos for you guys. You like being entertained. I actually quite like doing these battle reports. And yeah, and put any comments if you noticed anything we did particularly wrong, or if you just want to flame if you're using a ridiculous demon prince, then fine. Where the comment box is, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. That's everything.